okay? This plan at Midway Road has been going on for over a year. So I'm going to disagree with that statement. But then on the other hand, are we setting a practice here on this county commission? And I need to know this right now. Are we going to set a new practice on this county commission? It makes no difference what kind of lawsuits out there. We're still going to take action on it. We don't do that. We haven't. And if you do this, then you're totally going against. This is about like finger annexation if you really want to get to it. We're picking out a certain project that we want to hear it where it's in a lawsuit or not. All the others, we refuse to even discuss it. And that has happened on this county commission several times, that we refuse to discuss. Now, right is right. And what I'm saying here today is that I'm going to make a substitute motion. And this will assure all of us that nothing has been spent until after the lawsuit. I'm going to make a substitute motion that we don't hear this until after the lawsuit. That's my substitute motion, that we do not take any action on this until after we hear the lawsuit.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Clark. Okay, is there any discussion only, I guess, dealing with the substitute motion at this point?
That's right.
I would like to add, give a little incentive that we can get the transcripts to our law director if there's a time limit on it other than the ones imposed by the court, that the two attorneys will work closer together to resolve this as quickly as possible.
Okay, Commissioner Grease?
I'm going to speak to this motion. I'd like to speak if this, to see what this does.
Okay, Commissioner Norman?
Yes, Mr. Valiant. So early on, there was some kind of implication that I guess the speed at which this is proceeding maybe could possibly, there's some kind of technique, or is this some method that you all are going to use to, and acknowledging case law tends to support the legislative body, as you said, going ahead. Is this going to factor in, you all sticking a caterpillar in the ground or a bulldozer and starting the actual physical operation of this project? Is that going to in some way influence the lawsuit, more than likely, in your opinion?
Would you rephrase? Are you saying if we started to...
If you start to dig.
Start to dig, will that influence the lawsuit?
Right.
Again, it would influence the lawsuit against us. It would probably make, if Mr. Butte pushed his motion for injunctive relief, my experience has been that if you start digging, I don't see that a court might be quick to act on a motion for an injunction. I think that it would probably work against the development corporation if they started doing something that the court determined to be some sort of a slight of the process. And I don't think that that's what we have any intention of doing. We don't need to delay and delay and delay. I mean, you know, I know Mr. Mills wants to delay this. It's in my district. I live closer to it than some of the people complaining about it. But we don't need to keep delaying it and using different excuses to delay the funding. The funding needs to be in place for us to proceed with the process.
If the body goes ahead with it today and funds it as you wish,
yes.
How soon would the project start? When would the dig start? Does Mike know?
You asked the wrong man.
We think we're at least a year before we could do anything on site.
Okay.
We got to design the whole thing. It's got to get approved. We got to design finish the concept plan, get it approved, go through that approval process. We got to do the design for it. We got to solve the utility problem. We're a year from staging on site.
Okay, thank you. The attorney, Mr. Bach, I'm sorry, Book. So given that, a year's time, if indeed the body proceeds today, well, how does that affect you and your process?
If we get the lawsuit done within a year, as Mr. Owens on the outside time frame, it doesn't. But when I came in here, the proposition that was out there in the public and the perception was that they were going to start digging on that property, and based upon, as I indicated, some input or output from various one or more persons on this body, the idea was that if they got construction and improvements going, that no chancellor would ever enjoin them and say, tear it down. Now, that was what I came in here to enjoin this funding, to keep them from going on site and doing it. I also think that Mr. Valiant properly represented that if they do go out there and do that, certainly I would push forward for a temporary injunction. And as Mr. Valiant said, I think any judge, and put your black robes on yourself, if he thought that that's what was going on, it would go against the Development Corporation. Now, if it's going to take a year or more, I think that lawsuit will be done. So, in all honesty, I've got to say that. But coming in here, that wasn't the perception that my clients or the public had.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Mills.
I'd like to speak on Mr. John Valiant pointed at me that all I was trying to do was delay this project. John, I'm not trying to delay this project, and I know exactly what you meant by that, okay? What I'm saying here today, are we going to draw the line and say it makes no difference what kind of lawsuit is going on anytime a project comes before this commission? We are going to act on it then and not wait on any lawsuits. I just want to know that. If we do, then let's put that in writing that we'll act on anything that comes before us, no matter where it's in a lawsuit or not. Now, they said that they didn't need this money right away. No one here is trying to block it. We're not trying to delay it. I'm just trying to say we have a practice here on this commission. And I would like to see us stand on our practice that we have here. We didn't ask for any of this. It came to us. So I'm speaking on behalf of, let's defer this until we do hear the lawsuit. One way or the other, we need to hear the lawsuit before we act on it. We're not saying we're for or against this. We need to hear the lawsuit. Thank you.
Commissioner Grease.
All right, I will speak to that. The substitute motion is to defer this until the lawsuit is settled. I just want to make this point. Any developer I have ever known or been associated with doesn't do one thing at a time, step by step. They try to do all the issues within a period of time. For instance, the concept plan, utilities, zoning, survey, title, financing, lawsuit settlement, all of those things that they're trying to get their arms around. And my guess is any developer I've ever known doesn't start the development until all those items are handled or solved. And I think the request today is to take one of those items and get it handled. But it doesn't in any way mean this thing is going forward because they've got the financing component solved when there are 7 or 8 or 10 more components that have to be handled before the decision to put that bulldozer in the ground, including settlement of the lawsuit, is finalized. I say vote against the substitute. Let's take this piece of the puzzle, get it solved with development corporations so they can work on these other issues.
Okay, Commissioner Pinkston.